All praise to Yahweh Hashem Al Shai, Bashem HaKadesh, double answer, Apostle El, the great Muslim that taught me this 100% truth, double well. Citations to the Akim out there pushing the truth with all sincerity, and we should like to do so. Citations to the hopeful elect that are scattered among the four corners of the earth that believe in the truth, Yahweh Hashem Al Shai, Shalom. Alright, so this lesson was inspired by this interview that I seen on Drink Champs. The host is Noriega, uh, you know, uh, hip hop artist, and he was interviewing Special Ed, who's also a hip hop artist or whatnot. They're from the older age, old school hip hoppers. Had they would say Nori, 90s era, and um, Special Ed more the 80s era. You know what I'm saying? When hip hop was really hip hop, back in them days. But anyway, so in the interview, like towards the end, I'm saying, but what I'll do, I'll put this video in the description box. Lord willing, I remember. Um, and towards the end of this video, you know, Special Ed was pretty much saying that he knows he's a Hebrew Israelite without saying he's a Hebrew Israelite. You know what I'm saying? And Special Ed, he's from Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? He's from Flatbush, Brooklyn, and whatnot. So this is something that he more than likely been hearing his whole life, because we know, like, this truth. New York is pretty much the headquarters. You know, um, for the the truth of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Beginning with what they call Nine West Doctrine. You know what I'm saying? New York is the headquarters of it. But anyway, so towards the end of the interview, he started getting to around the like 158 mark, and like I said, I'll post this interview in the description box so you can look at it yourself. I won't play it because you get copyrights and all that, whatever. And this ain't the first time like somebody mentioned this to Nori. Nori know what it is. Like, I know there was because Fat Joe knows him. Him, Fat Joe and Nori, like, real close friends or whatnot. Because I remember there was a clip that Fat Joe was interviewing Cool G Rap, and Cool G Rap mentioned, like, he's pretty much he's an Israelite, whatever. He knows he's an Israelite and all that, whatever. And Fat Joe was like, oh yeah, pretty much like saying, like, he really never heard of something like that. But which I'm sure more than likely, you know, he probably did. You know what I'm saying? Like, uh, so, and you know, Fat Joe, he's a Jake as well. You know what I'm saying? He's an Ephraimite. He's Puerto Rican, so-called Puerto Rican or whatever. So he's from the tribe of Ephraim, as well as Nori. Nori, you know what I'm saying? His mother's so-called black woman, you know, a Judite, and his father is Puerto Rican, so-called Puerto Rican. He's an Ephraimite. So Nori, is actually Northern Kingdom, but they always go with this thing called mix or whatever. But there's no such thing. You know what I'm saying? You all with your father is. So Nori is actually from the Northern tribe. But anyway, so towards the end of the interview, Nori was like, he feels the black man is pretty much God, or he gets treated like God, in because anywhere else in the world. You know what I'm saying? Because he said that's why he liked performing, outside of the United States and going in these other, to these other nations and performing, because he get treated like a god out there. Like they pretty much worship him or whatever. You know what I'm saying? When he out there, and Special Ed was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Uh, because we are God. You know what I'm saying? We are that's what we are. You know what I'm saying? We are gods or whatnot. He's pretty much telling we the Lord's people. He's like, not only out there in these other nations, but also here in America, so-called America, the black man here, the so-called black man here is God too. You know what I'm saying? He said, but they don't tell you that. He was like, because we pretty much been brainwashed, or we've been fed the bullshit doctrine of Esau Edom. You know, telling you that you so-called African American or whatever, you so-called Puerto Rican, you so-called Dominican, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And he took away your heritage. And he implanted in something into you that you're not, and that's been taken away from you, so you've been indoctrinated. You know what I'm saying? He said, this land here is truly ours, which is true. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, but they've told you that it's not, and they've make you believe in, that you're just something that you're not, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? He said, yo, the people that's oppressing you can't tell you who you truly are, because then it'll be a wrap. It'll be up. You know what I'm saying? It'll be over for them. Which is true. All these things are true, but again, especially like he knows that he's an Israelite, but he's just a 2/3. You know what I'm saying? And that know he's an Israelite. You know what I'm saying? You know, and that's just the truth of the matter. Like, I mean, I like Special Ed. You know what I'm saying? I like his music. I came up on his music, so you know, um, but that it doesn't defeat the fact that what I'm saying, he's just 2/3 that you know uh, that just knows he's an Israelite. You know what I'm saying? Because he not out there pushing his truth, out in the highways and byways like the true men of the Lord, and pushing this word, you know, for the sake of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? He's just a man that knows, you know. And not to say that everybody, who grasps things is a prophet or a preacher or whatever it may be, but some people it helps, and I'm sure he probably not, I mean, he sure is more than likely pretty well off, but he probably not donating or pushing or trying to help push forth the gospel by um, uh, tied into the brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, but yeah, so uh, the whole point is that this word is is going out. You know what I'm saying? The truth of Yahweh Shema, Yahweh Shai, is going out in the earth, and he says some some key things that are all true. You know what I'm saying? That the so-called black man is God. You know what I'm saying? The Lord says that ye are gods. You know what I'm saying? We are the people uh, that the Lord has chosen. We are the children of Israel. You know what I'm saying? But Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, what I'm saying, has told you otherwise. He got you believing that you so-called Puerto Rican, Dominican, Native American, uh, and African American. You know what I'm saying? These are things that was given unto you by this devil. You know what I'm saying? He's totally, taken away your heritage from you, and he took it to his own, because you got the small hats screaming that they are the Jews, but that's all part of prophecy being fulfilled. You know what I'm saying? But that's why that's part of the curses that the Lord says that we are going to be, you know, called bywords or whatnot, a proverb and a byword. You know what I'm saying? That's part of the curses that the Lord has put upon us. So it's just part of prophecy being fulfilled. But I don't want to ramble on too much about that. Get into the scriptures. This is Matthew 24:14. This is Yahweh Shai speaking. And it reads, "And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then the end shall come." Showing you that we're at the end, because this gospel is being heard throughout the world. And many of our people are being woken up by this truth. You know what I'm saying? That the Lord has put in the earth in these last days to wake up the elect of the nation of Israel, to gather them in, so that he can give them salvation and they can be saved from the great destruction that the Lord is about to bring upon this place, especially here at Babylon Great, because we know 2/3 of our people are going to get destroyed here, and the 1/3 is going to be saved here out of Babylon. You know what I'm saying? And this is Second Esdras 13, and that's where I want to start. 13 and 39, which reads, and whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto them, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land into the time of Hoshea the king, whom Shalmaneser the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and laid and so came they into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that when it's like that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country when where never mankind dwelleth. Yeah, and this is the northern kingdom after the Assyrian captivity. The Lord brought them over here to this land, and this is the land that where no mankind dwelleth. The Lord took them away from the heathen, allowed them to escape them, to bring them into this land, and to, you know, follow after them after he released them from the Assyrian captivity, because the Lord took the northern kingdom into captivity first, because they were going off first. They was the wicked people, and Judah followed suit and did wickedly, and so that the Lord sent them into the Babylonian captivity. But for the northern kingdom going off first, the Lord took them in the Assyrian captivity under King Shalmaneser, and they were taken captive. And then after their captivity, the Lord took the northern kingdom and sent them out, westernly, where into this land when never mankind dwelleth, because nobody dwelt here. I mean, people visited the land, but nobody actually lived or occupied the land. You know what I'm saying? That they might keep their statues, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and he stilled the flood that they were passed over. So the Lord, calmed the waters so they can get over to this side of the earth. You know what I'm saying? For through the country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Azareth. So the land, before these devils took over and named it after their own name, America Van Swooshi, the land of America, so-called America. You know what I'm saying? It was called Azareth. You know what I'm saying? And it took a year and a half to get here, from that side of the earth. You know, and the Lord, calmed the waters, because the waters were rough. You know what I'm saying? And he calmed the waters for them to get here. You know, but then he also allowed this devil Christopher Colombo to come here and take our people captive to fulfill prophecy. You know what I'm saying? Like so-called Christopher Columbus, he knew that we were here. You know what I'm saying? And that's why he brought a Hebrew interpreter. You know, um, I think is Torres, Luis de Torres. You know what I'm saying? Was the dude that he brought with him. You know, um, who was a Hebrew interpreter, because he knew that the Northern Kingdom was here. You know what I'm saying? He knew that he was coming to get his get back, pretty much. The Lord sent him here. He was sent by the Spirit of Yahweh Shemar Shai to come over here and occupy this land to fulfill prophecy, to come, get his get back. You know what I'm saying? So, but, this place is pretty much a prison sentence, so-called America, for the nation of Israel, and to be made an example of in these last days when the Lord come to take down the modern day Pharaoh, who is the so-called white man, Esau Edom. The Lord, raised him, allowed him to come over to this land and take us into captivity so he can make an example of him, because he's, that vessel of dishonor that the Lord has created, to be destroyed. You know, and this is Revelation 6 and 8. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth. And the fourth part of the earth is so-called America. To kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. And that's what this devil did. He came with death and he came with hell. He put us in this hellish condition. And the Lord gave him power to, overtake this fourth part of the earth, or to overtake us as a people and raise him up, so the Lord can make an example of him in these last days. The Lord is allowing this devil to go on a rampage wickedly, so he can build up his sins, and the Lord can just squash him when he comes, and burn him to a crisp in his return. So the Lord is going to get his get back for all the wicked that this devil has done. You know what I'm saying? But This is, to go to show that when, Special Ed said that, this is our land, he's right, you know what I'm saying? As the scriptures, pretty much just stated, second Esdras, that the northern kingdom came over here to this land, what I'm saying, to occupy it. And this devil, in the scriptures, explain to you that the Lord gave him power over the fourth part of the earth, what I'm saying? Which is so-called America. This is, be given by the Lord. So, kingdoms are, raised up or given into the hand, you know, different kings by the way of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? The Lord put, these kings in control to do these things um, that he's prophesied to take place. You know what I'm saying? The Lord raised up kings in these nations, of these heathen nations, and gives them the power to do what they do, you know, because it's all given at the hands of Yahweh Shema Shai. You know, the Lord, has been fair. He allowed all these heathen nations to have their time, their reign, but the kingdom that's going to be forever is the nation of Israel. Starting with our big brother Yahweh Shai. You know what I'm saying? The Lord has given you know uh, given all things unto him. You know what I'm saying? It's been made by his hand. So he's coming to take back what's rightfully his in these last days. When he's coming to take this so-called white man out of power. The devil himself, Esau, Edom. This is the last kingdom to rule before the Lord's coming. And the Lord is going to take this devil out. He's going to take back what's his in his return. And he's going to allow his people, to rule with them. And this is Hosea 1:10, which reads, "Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it is said unto them, Ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living power." Yeah. So, he also mentioned that, they want to tell you who you are, because I was honestly, if this devil tell you who you are as a people, if he tell you you are the true children of the Lord, you are the children of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, that means he has to admit that he's the devil. He's not going to do that. The so-called white man is not going to admit that he's the devil. That's why this devil vocab alone, is coming so hard at this truth. I mean, truly, it's because the Lord, put that spirit upon him to do so. But, because he's an Edomite, you know what I'm saying? He's the Lord's adversary, so he's going to hate this truth. He's going to come against the Lord. He's going to want you to stay in that mind state of, you're a so-called African American, and anybody can be the Lord's people. You just got to believe upon the Lord. You know what I'm saying? That's why they push that bullshit ass doctrine. Because they don't want to pay for what they've done, but they're going to have to pay, because it's been written for you to have to pay for what you've done, because you the wicked of the earth. The Lord created you to be wicked. The Lord said he created the wicked for the day of evil, and you are the wicked that's been created for the day of evil. You so-called white man, Esau, Edom, the devil in the flesh, man. The Lord is going to get his get back on you. That's your purpose, is to, to be the Lord's adversary, to be the wicked of the earth, to do all the abominable things, you know what I'm saying? To be blasphemy to the Lord, to be the liar, the deceiver, the thief, the killer, you know what I'm saying? The destroyer of the earth, you know what I'm saying? And you about to pay for what you've done, because this is the end of your kingdom. It's the end of your reign, You about to be taken out of the way. But the Lord gave you a time, but, this is the place, because the Lord has set up the men of the Lord to prophesy to his people, to tell them that, we are the children of Israel. And what did this devil vocab Malone say? He said, y'all ain't the people of Israel. You can't be. You know what I'm saying? And that's what many of these devils say. You know what I'm saying? That we're not the people. Even in the small hats, you're not the people. We the people. You know what I'm saying? So they say. But this is the place where the Lord has set up for us to be not called the people, but to be said that we are the people. Why? And how's that being done? But the men of the Lord out there in the highways and byways prophesying to the nation of Israel, telling you that you are the people of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? And this word is being heard. And this is how Special Ed knows that he's a Hebrew Israelite. Even though He admitted without saying it. You know what I'm saying? He actually said, his quote was, he's Jesus in the streets. He's Jesus walking the streets. He's saying that, yo, I am the Lord's people. I am a man of, you know what I'm saying? We are the children of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? He's Jesus in these streets. You know what I'm saying? He didn't say black Jesus, none of that. He just, because he knows that the physical appearance of the people are, uh, uh, you know, are of dark complexion. You know what I'm saying? He knows that the true people of the Lord are so-called black. You know, and he said that the people in these other countries, they know who we are. You know what I'm saying? They know that, who the true people of the Lord is, and they know that, they worship melanated people. You know what I'm saying? But just because you melanated don't mean that because you got Hamites that's so-called black. You know what I'm saying? You got so-called Indonesians, that's so-called black. You know what I'm saying? Or dark melanated people. But there's, the true people that's melanated or the people of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Or you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You know what I'm saying? We are the children of Israel. You know, that's why we catching hell out here because we're under these curses. And the Lord is, you know, making us suffer because of that. But at the same time, the Lord is gathering in His elect. In these last days to bring in the salvation of the nation of Israel. So this is Ezekiel 37:1, which reads, "And the hand of the Lord was upon me, and He carried me out into the spirit of the Lord, and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones." And in the midst of the valley that's full of bones is America. You know what I'm saying? And it's full of the bones of the nation of Israel. And He caused me to pass by them round about, and behold, there were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry. Yeah, we're dry because we're without the knowledge and wisdom of Yahweh Shema Shai. Like, we have no idea who we are as a people because we out here saying that we African American, we Puerto Rican, we Dominican, we Native Americans. You know what I'm saying? We all say, well, how you calling this the things that Esau, these labels that Esau Edom has placed upon us, our oppressor. You know what I'm saying? And He said unto me, Son of man, cause these bones to live. And He answered, O Lord God, Thou knowest. It's like it. And He said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Lord, power, Thou knowest. Again He said unto me, prophesy upon these bones, and say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. So how are we waking up? Through the words of Yahweh Shema Shai. That dry bone is actually receiving the waters, of the living waters of Yahweh Shema Shai, and being waken up, through His word. You know what I'm saying? The Lord is breathing His spirit upon the nation of Israel, these dry bones. You know what I'm saying? And and through His spirit, we're being awakened through the men of the Lord that He has given us this 100% truth into, to wake us up. And I will lay sinews upon them, and they will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and ye shall live, and ye shall know that I am Yahweh. Yeah. So the Lord is, put His covering upon us, His truth. You know what I'm saying? He's waking us up, putting His flesh upon us and breathing His breath into us, giving us the knowledge and wisdom of Yahweh Shem Shai, through His spirit. That breath is, giving us life, to understand who we are as a people and know that, Yahweh Shem Shai is our power. So I prophesied as I was commanded, and I saw, and as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone. Yeah, so the people started to be awakened. And when I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came upon them, and the skin covered them above, but there was no breath in them, because it was still without understanding. But, as the Lord begins, have the men out here prophesying in the truth, with being gathered in, and the lifeless coming into uh, uh, the nation of Israel. That's why you see more men coming up and prophesying, you know, on the highways and byways, because the congregation is growing, because the truth of the Lord is in the earth, and the spirit of the Lord is coming into these men to prophesy. We know, then said unto me, prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, thus says the Lord power, come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain, that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived and stood upon their feet, an exceedingly great army. And that's what's going on. The army of Yahweh Shem Shai is being risen up. The men of the Lord is being uh, gathered in, to preach this truth. You know, as this word goes out, and more people hear the truth of Yahweh Shem Shai through the Spirit of the Lord, His word, will be gathered in, and these people, they're afraid. You know what I'm saying? That's why most of these devils, they're in denial of who we are as a people, because they know that this is truth. You know what I'm saying? They're in fear that they see this nation of Israel awakening. And we'll get that here also in Revelations. Same thing. Revelations 11:8, which reads, and that their bodies shall lie in the streets of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also the Lord was crucified. Yeah, and this place is Sodom because of the wickedness, and adultery and the homosexuality that they allowed to be pushing in this society. You know what I'm saying? All at the hands of Esau Edom, the so-called white man, the devil in the flesh in Egypt, because it's a place of our captivity, and the Lord is been crucified here because they X the Lord out. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much, they tell you that he's a so-called white man, knowing that looks more like a so-called black man, or he looks like a so-called black man, and they X'd out his way. You know what I'm saying? They changed his doctrine. They tell you that you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native America are not the people of the Lord. They replaced it with with their own kind, and they even X'd out his commandments, the way that the law, statute, and commandments that the Lord has put forth to bring us order as a nation of Israel. That this devil is completely against that, showing you that he's the adversary of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? He X'd that out. You know what I'm saying? That's why they tell you that, oh, the law has been done away with. That doesn't he push that in his plantation Christianity? He tell you that the law's been done away with. You don't got to keep the laws, whatever. You can eat whatever you want, and just be wicked. But if the law's done away with, that means sin has been done away with. You know what I'm saying? Because the law prevents you, or puts in the mind state for you not to sin. You know what I'm saying? So if there's no law, there's no sin. But we all know there's still sin, because there's still death. Especially for the nation of Israel. You know what I'm saying? So, that don't even make sense. You know what I'm saying? Because what's sin? They say, oh yeah, you still can sin. And what's sin? Sin is the transgression of the law, right? But most Christians, they don't even know that. You know what I'm saying? They may know it now because this truth is out in the earth and they let it be known. But many people in the Christian church, they don't know. They say the law's been done away with, but they don't even know that, what sin is, because sin is the transgression of the laws. That means you breaking the law. So if the law's been done away with, how can you sin? It doesn't even make sense. But yeah, but the Lord's been crucified in his land because, they totally against it. They changed the doctrine of the Lord, you know what I'm saying? And they changed, taking away his commandments, and they took away his physical appearance, We know it. And they of the people and the kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their bodies to be put in graves. Yeah. So the nations, they see us, as a people. But what's the sense? I mean, this ain't this ain't saying that we're dead physically. You know what I'm saying? this is saying that we're dead spiritually because we know in the spirit, many of our people, they don't know who we are as a people. They don't know, like, they don't know that, they're the people of Yahweh Shem Shai. You know what I'm saying? They don't know that they're the children of Israel. That's why they, a lot of people buck up against being called the Hebrew Israelites or the Hebrew Israelites, whatever. You know what I'm saying? These 2/3 niggas out here, because, they're trapped in the mind state, you know, uh, of their dead body. You know what I'm saying? Being stuck in the mindset of being an African American, being a Dominican, being a Puerto Rican, being a native. You know what I'm saying? So technically, really, what's the sense of these other nations? Like, yo, let them live because these niggas retarded. they they dead men walking because what's the reason to bury them if they don't even know who they are? You know what I'm saying? These niggas trapped in the mind state of saying that they're African American. You know what I'm saying? They're Native American. They're Dominican, Puerto Rican. They're Mexican. You know what I'm saying? And they take pride in that. They take pride in the heritage that was given to them by their oppressor, or the names that have been given to the oppressor. Our people are, they bugged out like that. You know what I'm saying? But they're trapped in that dead mind state. They so there's no reason to to put a nigga that don't even know he's dead in the grave. Like, so the other nations, they look and they laugh at us like, yo, these niggas out here, they don't even know who they are as a people. What's the sense of burying a nigga that don't even know he dead? You know what I'm saying? He walking around here talking about he African American, Egyptology and all type of shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Or he Native American, or he Dominican, Puerto Rican, whatever it may be, he Mexican. You know what I'm saying? What's the sense of burying a nigga that don't even know he dead? You know what I'm saying? So these dead bodies in the streets is being that we're spiritually dead. You know what I'm saying? If we don't know who we are as a people, you know what I'm saying? We don't know that, Yahweh Shem Shah is our power. And we are the children of Israel. Well, 2/3 don't know. You know what I'm saying? The elect of the nation of Israel, the hopeful elect, the 1/3, we know that who we are as a people. But, you know, these other nations, they see our dead bodies in the street and it's like, they just lost people, man. They without their power. What's the sense? You know what I'm saying? These niggas don't even know they dead. What's the sense of, uh, giving them a grave? They out here, bug outs or whatever, believing in Jesus Christ or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. Reading on. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry and shall send gifts one to another because these two prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth. And the two prophets are the nation of Israel and the nation of Judah, the northern and southern kingdom. You know what I'm saying? These two prophets are tormenting these other nations because, as you know, it's the nation of Israel, it's the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom out here prophesying into these nations their downfall and telling them that we are the people of the Lord and they're gonna have to pay for what they've done. You know what I'm saying? So they're rejoicing over the fact that we've fallen as a people. You know what I'm saying? And because we tormented them as a people when we was in power. You know what I'm saying? But now this awakening is happening and we're raising back up and they're afraid. You know what I'm saying? But they rejoice over off downfall. But the Lord is raising back up, and they don't want that. You know what I'm saying? Because now the Lord has raised the northern and southern kingdom, and we out here prophesying this truth into the Lord's people, and preaching the downfall of these other nations. They're gonna have to pay for what they've done. We know, and after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from the Lord entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them that saw them. And that's what's happening. As our people are awakening, these other nations, they're falling in fear. You know what I'm saying? They're fearful. That's why about this devil vocab Malone, he's in fear. You know what I'm saying? Because if this is true, if this doctrine is or this counsel is not of men and it's of the Lord and it's true that these things are to come to pass, him and his people gonna have to pay. You know what I'm saying? That's why this devil, vocab Malone, is totally against reincarnation, because he knows that you have to pay for the things that you've done in your past. You know what I'm saying? According to the scriptures of reincarnation. You know what I'm saying? He don't want to admit to that, and they see that the Lord's temple is being built. The spiritual temple, third temple, and we're being awakened as a people, and you know they're in fear. You know what I'm saying? And these elites are too. That's why Esau Edom, the so-called white man, is going to bring forth his mark of the beast here very soon. You know what I'm saying? He's going to push forth and come with his agenda to try to hold on to his reign. But as we know, the game's been fixed. That's all part of the Lord, putting his delusion upon his devil that he's going to hold him to his kingdom. But truly, he's going to lose. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this truth is out in the earth, and this, we'll be waking up through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai. And this is Baruch 2 and let's start at 29. If ye will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations where I will scatter them. Yeah, the Lord scattered the nation of Israel, as you know, for breaking the Lord's statutes and commandments. So the Lord punished us and sent us into captivity. For I knew that they were not here. It's like if I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves. Yeah, and that's why our people are waking up. You know what I'm saying? In our land of captivities, and the main captivity is here in Babylon the Great. We're waking up to who we are as a people. You know what I'm saying? We're remembering ourselves. And that's why the special letter telling you, like, yo, I know I'm a Hebrew Israelite without saying it. You know what I'm saying? He's saying he is God. He's Jesus. You know what I'm saying? So-called Jesus, but he don't know the true name of the Lord. Or he may know, but he's just not maybe meant to. True name of the Lord is Yahweh Shai. True name of of the Lord is Yahweh, and his son name is Yahweh Shai. You know what I'm saying? So we're being brought back into the fold, through the awakening, of the nation of Israel. Read on it. And shall know that I am the Lord their power, for I will give them a heart and ears to hear, and they shall praise me in the land of their captivity, and think upon my name. Yeah. And that's why, we're called upon the name of Yahweh Shem Shai, because the Lord, has opened our ears to hear his truth, and given us the mind to understand his truth. And we're calling upon his name in the land of our captivities. You know what I'm saying? Especially here in Babylon, especially here in Babylon the Great, aka America. You know what I'm saying? So-called America, so-called United States. You know what I'm saying? We're being awakened by the words of the Lord, and we're calling upon his name, because the true name of the Lord is back in the earth, because he's given it to his men. This is Acts 5:38. And no, and now I say unto you, refrain from these men and let them alone. For if this counsel or this work be of men, it will come to naught. Yeah, so this truth or this awakening that's being brought forth in these last days, in these latter days, as prophesied that would take place, if it be, or if this counsel or this work be of men, it should come to naught. But we know that this mass awakening is not of men. You know what I'm saying? This ain't this ain't the work of men. This is the work of Yahweh Shem Shai, for this mass awakening to be happening for the nation of Israel. To be going forth throughout the world, not just here in Babylon, but throughout all of the world, through the four corners of the earth, his people are being awakened, showing you that this mass awakening is of the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai. So, and this is Baruch 5:5, which reads, Arise, O Jerusalem, and stand on high, and look about toward the east, and behold, thy children gather from the west unto the east by the word of the Holy One, rejoicing in the remembrance of the Lord. Yeah, so this word is the thing that's gathering, the children of Israel, all through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai. This is not the work of men, this is the work of the Lord. And the last one is Romans 8:16, which reads, the Spirit itself bear witness with our spirit that we were Read that again. Romans 8:16. The Spirit itself bear witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Lord. Yeah. This the Spirit of Yahweh Shai bear witness that we are the children of the Lord, man. So through His word, you know what I'm saying, by us hearing His word out here, by the men of the Lord prophesying this 100% truth through the world, you know what I'm saying, the gospel is being heard throughout the four corners of the earth, and the mass awakening of the nation of Israel is taking place because it's of Yahweh Shai. It's not of men, it's of the Lord Himself. You know what I'm saying? And it's all through the Spirit that His children are being awakened, and it's not just so-called uh, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Is also the mixed multitude of our people that look like these other heathen nations, that may look like so-called Chinese, that may look like so-called Japanese, that may look like so-called uh, um, white men. You know what I'm saying? Or white people, so-called white people. You know what I'm saying? Which are the Esau. So we got many of our people that look like these other heathen nations that may look like Hamites. You know what I'm saying? They may look like Edomites. You know what I'm saying? On the outside, but in the spirit, they are of the nation of Israel, and they will also be awakened in these last days too. You know what I'm saying? So, we got the mixed multitude of our people that look like these other nations also that are awakening in these last days, showing you that it's all through the spirit. You know what I'm saying? Because there's many, uh, you know, men on these highways and byways that look like so-called Edomites, that actually Israelites that are preaching this word on the highways and byways. You know what I'm saying? And part of these camps. Many of these camps, especially the camp of GMS, Great Millstone. The camp first and foremost that have the 100% truth, Yahweh Shema Shai, and those that teach like doctrine. There are many men that look like so-called Edomites that are in these camps that are pushing for the truth. Why? Because it's all through the spirit, Yahweh Shema Shai. They're Israelites in the spirit, but though they may look like another nation in the flesh, but again, it's all through the spirit. And that's pretty much it. I hope the lesson was edifying. And like I said, I'm going to put the video of the interview in the description box. And you can look at the video from there if you want. Again, I hope this lesson was edifying. Just want to say, Kol Holo Yahweh Shema Shai, Kwam Mashrala, Abba Baba, and Shalom.